Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 for this Sunday night. As you may notice, there is only three of us, though. Grizz has been caught up in London with these flash floods. The videos he sent me are absolutely horrendous. So not only has he's issues in some premises with regards to flooding, that's all I'll say to you, and getting home is going to probably be a 5 or 6 hour trek by the looks of it. So Grizz understandably is not with us tonight. But I do have Seany and I do have Keith, and I've asked Matt, but despite him demanding to be on podcast since he made a star appearance on Thursday, he won't show up. So that's how it is. Even though I've told him continuously it's 10 p.m. on Sundays in the WhatsApp for the last 3 days. But lads, you're all very welcome. Seany, you're looking amazing in your Lakers top. How was your weekend been, apart from being eaten alive by mosquitoes?
It's been grand, yeah. It's me last weekend in Carrick-on-Shannon, so had to make the most of it. But
those Carrick-on-Shannon mosquitoes.
I know. Watching a lot of the Olympics. Really enjoying it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, some good stuff in it.
Like, it's just when you look at these elite athletes and you're sitting on your couch eating crisps, it just makes you think, what the fuck am I doing? Because I was watching the women doing the gymnastics earlier on, man. It's just mind blowing stuff, like. But
Simone Biles and all.
Oh man, incredible! Like, it's just literally pure sport. It's shite that there's no crowds, but enjoying it nonetheless.
Yeah. Jeremiah B says didn't know Seany was that huge. And somebody else says Seany's looking a bit like Stretch Armstrong. And somebody else says Conway says, what the fuck, since when is Seany an absolute unit?
This must be what Keith feels like when he wears random jerseys every week and people just says comment.
My name or our name for Seany is Shoulders. I call it Sean. And in my phone, it's not Sean Lawson D12. It's Seany Shoulders in my phone. And Seany is a unit. Don't mess with him or me, because Seany will bait you. Keith, how was your weekend been?
It was brilliant, Gav. Yeah, brilliant. Lovely weather over here in Dublin. I'm getting absolutely scorched. I'm like a pepperami now at this stage. I'm bleeding burnt to a crisp. But apart from that, we're all good. Out today playing ball with the lads, Paddy Lawson, the other Lawson, another unit, it must be said, out with us today. Did they all get well fed in that house? Didn't they? Lawsons.
They weren't getting cabbage water like you.
There was no bleeding. There was no cutbacks in there. There was no cabbage water. You're right. They were all well fed. Them lads, big units, all
7 days a week.
Yeah, 100%.
But Delvin Jones says he loves the kick, Keith. Of course, Keith was delighted when that arrived. Nazim says love the new short Keith.
It's a cracker. It is. I have to say, lovely kit. Big fan. I loved the crew one when it was out. When it came out, I always liked that. And then when this one came, I seen it. I said, "Yeah, I'm having a piece of that." So all over it.
Keith resplendent in neck group. Gav's topless. I'm that red. It's unbelievable. I had a lovely weekend up until today, when I went to play golf with Andy Veranda Cheese and Dave Lennon, famously of this chat, and we went up to Dave's hometown, up the north of Ireland, and we had a lovely day playing golf. I'd like to apologise and put on record now that I apologise for my play today to my partner Andy, and Dave and Veranda Cheese beat us 4-3 up in Dave's local golf course. But it was a cracking day out. Brilliant golf club, lovely setting, lovely people, and we had a great time roasting hot. But we had a great time doing it. So that's how all our weekends went. Now onto the football. I want to start with Gini Wijnaldum. We're going to talk about Wijnaldum, let people know. We're going to talk about Wijnaldum. We're going to talk about Harry Wilson leaving the club. We're going to talk about Gomez and Van Dijk and their availability. Coming up to the start of the season. We're going to talk about Ox and a lot of talk around him and false nine and playing forward in the forward positions. And then the last 20 minutes, we're just going to open it up for viewers' questions, wherever that might be. Usually it's random. Sometimes it's football, but we'll see how it goes. But let's start with Gini Wijnaldum, because Gini Wijnaldum officially was unveiled, I suppose, at Paris Saint-Germain this week. And, there's been a lot of talk since he left the club, how he was going to tell his side of the story and all this thing about regards to leaving Liverpool. But Seany, I'll come to you first. The big thing to come out of it, an article written yesterday, I think, was Gini Wijnaldum basically coming out and saying that, he didn't feel appreciated by Liverpool fans. He felt that the fans inside the ground, as opposed to those outside the ground, are two different things. And, he didn't feel loved and appreciated. What did you make of it? Because there's a lot of ways to go with this, in my opinion.
thought it was a lot of rubbish, Gav, to be honest with you. I was actually surprised because when, look, like us all, I remember going back to the last game of the season and when he left and the applause that he got. And look, Gini Wijnaldum, I'm going to start by saying this. He owed Liverpool Football Club absolutely nothing. His whole time there as a professional, he was unbelievable. And I agree to an extent, maybe in his formal years, he was maybe underappreciated. But I think towards the back end of his Liverpool career, everybody understood how important he was to the team. That's why everyone was desperate for him to sign a contract. Gav, would have had infinite more respect for Gini if he had just turned around and said, you know what, look, I'm 30. It was a chance. I wanted more money. I felt that Liverpool's offer didn't match how I felt my worth to the team. I thought that it was worth more, and their contract offer didn't reflect that. And I would have had way more respect for him, and I would have agreed with him because he did deserve a big pay rise. And if he had got it, nobody would have had a problem. But to come out and say that he left Liverpool because of a section of the fan base online talked a bit of shite towards him on the internet, it's just fluff and bluster. Like, to be honest with you, I think he made that initial comment in a place of emotion where he was probably frustrated that he was leaving the club, and then he said that, and maybe someone came back to him and said it, because Henry Winter put the article out like he got the line directly from Gini, which he probably did. And I think it was a bit of a cop-out. Like, look, I'd say if Mohamed Salah has a bad game, there's fucking idiots in his Instagram mentions and on his Twitter giving him shite. You just have to ignore these people. Like he said himself in the same breath that he never felt it from the people inside the stadium. He always felt that they were the ones who actually gave him the adulation he deserved. Like, it was a bit cowardly, Gav, and it was very uncharacteristic of Gini because it's not something that I expect from him at all. Not something that I expect from him at all. I think he just said that to make it seem like it wasn't for the money. When even if he would have been better off making it seem like it was for the money, because I think he would have stand a good set. Now, I'll end it all by saying that it doesn't tarnish his legacy at Liverpool for me. Like, it's just a bit silly. Just so much like the Henderson thing the last couple of weeks. I feel like it's just unnecessary drama, really.
Yeah. Matt Seany says a lot of misconception that he said the reason he ultimately left was because of abuse of fans. That's not the impression I got from his comments. We don't know how the interview has been skewed, and that's fair enough. But
that's important.
Yeah, no, that is important, and I don't think it's ultimately why he left the club. I think it's in there I don't think it's the reason he left, but it wouldn't be a reason to stay. You know, the sort of way. So this has come out. Like, don't get me wrong. If Gini Wijnaldum turned around and said, yeah, like you said, Sean, he was looking for more money, you know, but I didn't get the offer I was looking for at Liverpool. And, you know, I went and I got this deal at PSG. And by the way, there was some fans of Liverpool that I weren't too impressed with. You go fine, but Keith, nothing's come out about that. You know, nothing's come out about that. Like, there's nothing in from what I've seen about the offer Liverpool have made to him, you know. And look, I'm with Seany. He's 30 years of age. He has got one big contract left in him, 3 to 4 years. And, you know, he's trying to get exactly what he can for that. And that's absolutely fine. But, you know, we heard a lot, Keith, about how he was going to tell his story and stuff like that. And the first thing I see come out is, some of the fans didn't like me. Now, they all get abused, Keith. Should they just ignore it? Because they are humans at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to sort of downplay abuse because it gives people a bleeding free right to go on and say what they want. The abuse Gini was getting, I didn't follow. I seen a lot of the usual get out of my club sort of crap that was going on.
Come on,
you know,
like,
that can't be the reason why you want to leave Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to.
We'll have no team before kickoff. We'll have no team before kickoff.
But like, from what I could gather, and I may be wrong, like, he wasn't getting racially abused by Liverpool fans. I didn't see anything like that. Whereas you see other fellas are getting absolute pelters all the time. So surely that can't be the reason, because it's not a Liverpool thing. Do you know what I mean? Abuse online isn't specific to Liverpool. I mean, PSG fans are pretty blatant. If they let them know if Do you think he's not pulling his weight around there? So it was strange because I thought you come out and you say, oh, like when Torres came out and said, oh, you don't know what happened. You know, if you knew what happened, you'd know why I wanted out and all this. And you were sort of knew there was something behind it. Gini sort of does the same thing and then comes out with this. It doesn't make any sense. You know, he wanted out. He wanted to go to Barcelona. People are under this misconception that Gini was going to Barcelona for less money that he was on at Liverpool. That's a load of bollocks because Gini's only on 70 grand a week at Liverpool. I say only, bear with me on that. You know, when you see the money that is going, it was, you know, 70 grand a week was what he was on. He was low paid for the role he had. There's no way Barcelona are paying him less than that. If you see Barcelona's wage bills over the years, there's not a hope in hell that he was going there for 50 grand a week. It went belly up there because they're in turmoil, absolute mess, and it didn't go. And PSG came in and offered him more money. What did he get? About 180 or something? 180 a week. You know, it's serious though, but it's just don't say anything about it. Do you know what I mean? There was no need for Gini to say anything. And Matt made a good point there a minute ago. It could be a thing that it's getting misconstrued and comments are getting sort of spun because we know how that works. We say it all the time. But if it's a genuine reason, I mean, Jesus.
It's just like, don't get me wrong. If it's a genuine reason, I'm okay with that. Like, they're human beings. And I think it was John O'Dare was going on about Saka, Sancho, Rashford after the Euros missing the penalties, and should they ignore it? Absolutely not, because they're humans, you know. But they're in this sort of landscape where people they're open for this because they are world famous footballers and sports people. It's not only to footballers; it's to sports people and celebrities, I suppose, around the world. But if that's the reason, I'm okay with that. But I would have said, look, if, like I said before, if I'd have seen him come out and say, listen, I'm on 70 grand a week at Liverpool. They offered me 120 over 3 years, which I think Liverpool would have went close to. I think they would have went close to around that, right?
That was the route, wasn't it?
But that's no insider knowledge. That's just me going, I think they'll offer him probably 100 to 120. And we've had arguments over this over the last couple of months. And we, you know, I've said if offer him 120, hopefully he takes it and he's worth it. But, you know, if that article comes out yesterday, like I said, and it's like, look, Liverpool offered me this deal. I wasn't happy with the deal. I'm going. And by the way, this is another piece, but this is the only thing to really come out in the article. If you get me, this is the main thing to come out in the article. If it was sat beside the financial side of things, where Gini Wijnaldum says, look, I have a family to look after. I have, you know, I have a career to look after. I've only probably 4 years left at the top level.
Yeah. I wanted a 4-year deal. They were only offering me a 3-year deal. Doesn't even mention money then, you know.
I wanted 150, but they offered me 120. He could turn around and literally walk away and people go, well, fair enough. Regardless of what he asked for, fair enough. But that's not the way it kind of sits.
The thing that's weird for me is, like, there's literally 4 or 5 other routes he could have went down. He could have went down, say, he wanted to play a different role and a different side, and he wasn't given it. Like, all of these things we would have agreed with him. And I just want to get something straight. Just because Gini Wijnaldum is a famous footballer and he earns a lot of money, it doesn't mean that he's not human. I know he does read these comments, and that is fair. But at the same time, you have to be honest and say, for every 10 bad comments he gets, he probably gets 1,000 good ones. You know what I mean? And the fact that he leveled it at the fans a little bit was the one that was surprising to me, because he could have went any other way and the fans would have been on his side. Yeah. He could have went, it was the money, and people would have blamed FSG. He could have went, I wanted to play in a different role, and people would have said, well, maybe Klopp has in him.
Or I wanted to try a new challenge, because John says Gini pointed out that whenever LFC lost the game, he would cop the brunt of it because of his contract situation. Now,
that's fair as well, probably.
That's probably fair. But I'm going to be honest with you. If you're a Liverpool fan sitting down to watch Liverpool and they lose a game, which you've done a lot of between the 27th or the 28th of December, right through till March when they woke up again. If you're sitting there as a Liverpool fan watching that and going, oh, well, fuck Gini Wijnaldum because he hasn't signed a new deal, come off it. If Jurgen Klopp isn't sitting picking a team going, oh, Gini's due a new contract and I'm going to drop him because of it. And Gini's not playing because of this contract. He would have dropped him out of the side. Simple as that. Like, so if you're a Liverpool fan kind of watching that and giving Gini the brunt of the abuse, because Liverpool as a side and a squad and a management team lost games and plenty of them because you think it's over a contract situation, I think you're mad. I genuinely do think you're mad. But look, we'll move on from it. But lads,
Yeah.
he could, like you say, Seany, he could have just turned around and said, I was looking for a new challenge. That's all he could have. If he just said that, he was good.
And any idiot on social media now saying his legacy and all is tainted, that's just rubbish. Like Gini, whenever he represented us as a footballer, he pulled on the shirt. He gave 100%. He was always fit. He won a lot of trophies. People will consider him a legend. I probably would, for the impact he's had on the team, the moments. Look, he owed us nothing in the end. He's moved on to other pastures, and all the best to him. I wish him all the best. I'll follow him with interest because I like him as a player. I like him as a human, and I like the idea of him going to PSG. I think could be very good. He can become wherever he wants there. If it's the whole Emre Can thing again, holding on to players that when they're gone, let's just move on. Let's worry about what we have there. That's all we can do.
Exactly. And before we do finish up on that, Gav, we also had Jamie Carragher's comments that came out saying, oh, that's bad boy Gini, bad form. People have their own opinions on these sort of things. As celebrities, famous people. Look, even this show, do you know what I mean? We get negative comments. We see negative comments. I get about my head. Do you know what I mean? You get them. Gini gets, as Seany said, 1,000 positive comments for every one negative. But it goes to show that they do see these things and they are human and it does affect them and it does impact them. Maybe people, it's not going to change people. Do you know what I mean? But, this wasn't, like I said earlier, someone said it was racist. I don't think it generally was a racial abuse thing. It was like Nico Williams when he blacked out his thing when he was getting abuse as well. These players are human and they see this abuse, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't say it to them in the street. So, maybe think twice about it online. But then again, if you're just saying, oh, get out of my club, you're not pulling your weight, I don't know.
This is the whole conversation of social media again, Gav. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. What can we do to combat it? We can't legislate for idiots, unfortunately. I could make a profile tomorrow with Anthony Martial, for example, as the avatar and abuse United players on next season.
Yeah.
And for what? Yeah. And that could end up in clips going around the rounds. Not that I would do something like that, because I think that's quite frankly ridiculous. But the fact that people have the means and the access to do stuff like that, this will always be prevalent. That's why I'm away from all of the social media. I like Reddit. I go on Reddit because it always seems to be balanced. You get Liverpool fans in the Liverpool section. That's it, really. You know what I mean? So that's what you kind of you get there. So.
Mikey D says Gini never said the online comments caused him to leave. And Joshua Pritchard says Wijnaldum never said he left the club because of the fans' abuse. I don't know why people keep saying this. No, what we're trying to say here is that, and somebody else said it's part of a bigger interview, which you'll probably see more of in the next couple of days, and that's fine. I'm just saying, the way I think the three of us feel, and others that we've spoken to about belonging to this podcast and outside it, is that if Gini Wijnaldum's given this interview, surely even the fact that this is the first thing to come out, because that's the lead thing, sort of way. And I'm not saying it's an actual reason for him to leave. I don't think it is. I think it's money and it's covering his career, but I just don't see why that has to come out. And I don't know why. Do you know what? Overall, I don't know why Gini Wijnaldum's giving them any oxygen. That's just the way. That's the way I think of it. I just go, why are you giving these people oxygen? Because these are probably the same people who, when you lose a game, going, it's Gini's fault because he hasn't signed a new deal.
It's the same idiots under every tweet. Liverpool put up saying, announce Chiesa, announce Saul, announce Renato.
Yeah, there's a lot of announcements going on.
Just there's nothing we can do about these people. So just fuck on. No
in some ways, it's good that they were called out. You know what I mean? That he's highlighting it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In some ways, you think, that's fair enough because they weren't expecting that. A lot of these fans were expecting him to throw FSG under the bus, and it turned out not to be the case. So it's interesting.
Well, just the last thing on this, Kieran B says people are expecting Gini to lash FSG out of it, of course, but that might come later in this interview, because I'd be very interested to see if anything. That's my main interest in this interview is: are you going to tell us what way Liverpool went about this and what he offered you, and what it was and stuff like that? So we'll have to wait and see. But lads, let's move on. I want to look at the centre half situation. You know, Kanate started off well. He's I think he's already a cult hero. Honestly, a few games into pre-season, simply because he said he was sad that Liverpool didn't win a 30-minute game in Austria during the week, and he seemed happy after the won the other night. And you know, Matip is fit, fingers crossed, and those two I think have started together twice in pre-season. And we look at Virgil van Dijk and we look at Joe Gomez, and Klopp didn't see them having any involvement on the last friendly, and I don't know what's going to happen with regards to the game next Thursday. But I just wanted to see what you thought, lads, because is it quite obvious that Keith, I'll come to you first. Is it quite obvious that he's looking at Matip and Kanate here, and he's just going to have Van Dijk and he's going to have Gomez whenever they come along? But it doesn't look like the 14th of August.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's the case, Gav. I'd say it's always sort of been before people think there's any sort of major setbacks. I don't think that's the case. I think Liverpool always knew it was going to be a fairly slow recovery for Van Dijk and Gomez to get back into the match fitness, match sharpness. So I think we will see Kanate, Matip if he can stay fit. And I think people think that Nat Phillips may be out the door soon. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see him stick around just because of the injury situation that we have at the moment. But I think Kanate looks like he's settled in nicely there. The type of player he is, he's a big lad, he's quick, he's everything that we really want in a centre-back. You know, I'm not looking to dig out Kabak, for example. Kabak came in and he looked decent. I thought he was good, but his qualities maybe weren't the profile of the others, where you can see that Kanate is a better match, I think, to the way we want to play. He's Van Dijk light, really. You know, he's as tall as Van Dijk. He's a big unit, but he's quick over the ground. He's comfortable with the ball, and I just think it's sensible to get him playing alongside Matip. We've said this on this show 100 times. Joe Matip is the type of player that you can just drop in. Do you know what I mean? You can just put him into any situation. He's unbelievable. I've very rarely seen a player like him that he could be out for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and he could come on. His comeback could be 6 minutes into a game because someone pulls up and he just hits the ground running. Yeah, hits the ground running. It's unbelievable he is. And I think if they can keep him sort of well wrapped up in pre-season, that'll be the starting centre-back pairing with the other lads coming in when they're ready. I'm not saying that'll be the end thing, but it gives us the options now if they're all to stay fit and they all come back healthy, i.e. Gomez and Van Dijk. It's a good foursome to have. Do you know what I mean? The attributes, you could nearly put any of them together and you're thinking, yeah lovely. Do you know, there's no sort of weakness there. You could go, it doesn't have to be Virgil plus one. You know, if Kanate develops, it's, you know, any combination of the two would be nice.
Exactly, that's exactly what Keith said there. Any combination of the two, and I never really thought of that until Keith said it, because they all kind of complement each other in one way or another. You know, but look, we've gone from a situation of having no centre backs to having 8 of them, so I don't care if we go into the game against Norwich and there's 4 centre halves on the bench. I don't care. I really don't. Because they don't want to be bitten again. It's great to have them. And obviously people will have reservations about their injury records. But look, last year cut a lot of people deep with how bad that it got. Like, I was just saying a thing there where it popped up on Reddit where, like, how bad it actually was. It's saying 1 week we lost Mane and Salah due to COVID. You know, like stuff like that. Last season was an absolute dumpster fire in terms of... And I don't think it's possible for it to be that bad again. Like, you know, I really don't. And I touch wood saying that. So if we have any combination of the two of those fit, we'll be grand going into games. And I'm not so much worried about Van Dijk and Gomez not being ready, so to speak. I prefer they weren't rushed. To be honest with you, when I read it, the first thing I thought was, I think Klopp will hold them so that they don't go on the first international break.
Yeah.
And then when the teams come back from the first international break, bang, they will literally have had 6 or 7 games played before the October international break. Because Klopp doesn't want to bring the lads in for 3 games at the start of August, September, and then send them off to their countries where the setups are different. And look, we see what happens when we send players away with England.
I'd imagine
Klopp has it in his head that look, I'm going to hold you so that international break, you'll have the 2 weeks then of full training, and then bang, you'll be ready to go then, because at that stage then it'll be midweek, weekend, midweek. So that's and I'm comfortable with Kabak and Phillips starting the first couple of games, and either Kabak or Phillips, Kabak, Matip, any of them.
Oh, Kabak's not there.
Oh, sorry. Konate or Phillips or Konate and Matip. I'd be happy with any of them.
Yeah.
Either, because to me, I think we'll be grand.
Well, 1975, Jamrock says, just going back to Gini, he says Klopp cost Gini money and leverage in his negotiation because of the way he plays his midfielders. And the Barca excerpt proved that. The Barca game, Gini gets the dollars. I'm presuming you're going back to Anfield and 4-0. But look, it was a long run transfer kind of, or contract negotiation that just didn't work in the end. Midnight Toker, just on the how bad it was. 26 injuries to different players we had last season, and Barry Devaney says there was 20 different centre-back partnerships for Liverpool last season. Never to be seen again. It was unbelievable. And Keith, I'll come to you. Is it like nobody doesn't rate Joel Matip when he plays?
Yeah.
Nobody. You know, I think he's a fantastic centre-back when he plays. My big issue with Joel Matip is he doesn't play enough. Like, even coming back to pre-season, like, Joel's nearly back, and I'm like, fucking hell, Joel's missing months.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? And all right, he would have missed it. They said, right, he'd be out for the season, but I didn't think it'd be another 2 months of, you know, the summer, and then he's coming back to pre-season going, he's nearly back, Joel, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But that's just Joel Matip, and he's a brilliant defender. I think Konate coming in, from what I've seen of him, he's very dominant. He's very intimidating. He's quick. He's good on the ball. He's good in the air. He's everything you want, like you said, Keith. But is it like Seany says? It's options, but it's also a balancing act as well. Because look, when Virgil van Dijk's ready, Virgil van Dijk plays. And Seany's a great point with regards to the international break, because I just always think of Daniel Sturridge in the summer of 2014 when he I think Liverpool beat Spurs 3-0 at White Hart Lane. He goes off for, I think it's a World Cup qualifier or a European qualifier, and Liverpool are adamant, you know, he doesn't play this, he does that, here's his rhythm, and Roy Hodgson just absolutely collapses him, and you don't see Daniel Sturridge again for me. That's him.
The term he used was tested and was resolved, wasn't it?
Yeah, his resolve wasn't there to be tested, because Liverpool had told him, listen, this is what Daniel Sturridge does every fucking day for Liverpool Football Club. I don't care what England want, and England still went and injured him. And that was the end of Daniel Sturridge, a Liverpool player for me.
And I don't buy into conspiracy theories, Gav, but like, Gomez went away with England and we still don't know what happened.
No.
Yeah.
So, like, we don't know what happened. And when you look at the pictures and all of his knee, you think, that wasn't an all. And then Henderson's comment. So something definitely happened, and Klopp will be aware of that. So this current England administration is not too dissimilar, because Gomez went away shortly after Van Dijk gets injured. We thought he wouldn't play much of a part because he had a couple of injuries at the start. Because remember, he didn't play Chelsea away the start of the season. Fabinho started centre back that game. So look, I think Klopp is boxing clever, and he will definitely have in the back of his mind what happened last summer or last October with the likes of Gomez. So look, if it means the boys missed the first 3 league games, that's all right with me.
Yeah, and Keith, like, he's in a good position, I think, with regards to Joe Gomez. He's just telling England it's not happening, you know. And with Holland, I think he's in a good position there, where he says, look, he literally hasn't played for us. We're back into a new season. Like, how does he balance this? Because definitely he's going to be, for me, Keith, he's going to be he's going to be waiting on something to happen to Matip, and he has to be a little bit wary of Konate starting in a new league as well. How does he balance this, or is it just a case of you have to wait till they're fully ready?
Yeah, I'm with Seany. I wouldn't rush them back in the slightest. I would go. I've said it before. I wouldn't sell Nat Phillips. I'd keep Nat Phillips there. If an offer comes in and Nat wants to move, so be it. But if I wouldn't be rushing him out the door, because one of the mistakes we made last season, I think we said it on the show, was we didn't go to Phillips sooner. We sort of persevered playing midfield players instead of playing him, and when we put him in, we sort of shored things up. Last season was an absolute shit show, as we said. It was a dumpster fire. It should not happen again. But Nat Phillips' greatest strength was his availability. And, you know, give me somebody. I didn't mention him as part of the four when I said he can all slot in. But as Seany said, if you put Nat Phillips in the starting lineup on the first day of the season, I'm not going to be upset about that. I'm like, yeah, Nat Phillips, you know what you get with him. Do you know what I mean? You know what you're going to get. And if it's a thing that they keep until Christmas maybe and move him on, that's what I would ideally like to do until the lads are back fit and firing. We don't know what the situation is with Ben Davies, whether he's an option. Reece Williams still, I don't know, looks a bit light, a bit away, but they might have high hopes for him. So I don't think there's a need to rush Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk back. I think Virgil comes back in and we all know, he's the alpha. He goes in there, he's the number one.
Providing that Canada's there and Matip stays fit.
Yeah.
Because if any of them go down, you're back to Nat Phillips.
Yeah, but it wouldn't bother me if I'm back to Nat Phillips.
I know that, but over the period of time, I will be.
Nah, I think I'd have more of an injury can worry about the midfield this season than centre back. Because there's a stigma around the knee injuries, the long term knee injuries now that don't after them. It's not the case anymore. They're not the death sentences that they used to be. There might be little niggles and groin tear or pops and hamstrings there and there. Like things got to give way because you're back playing football after such a long time. And this just heeds more proof onto the fact that Klopp's not going to rush them because he knows that bringing these in gradually will stand them in good stead. I'd be more worried about the injuries, the availability situation in midfield next year than centre back, because I think we have that sorted now. Like everyone read up on transfer market about all these injuries that Kanate had. While he's doing double sessions every day since he come on, he's been grand. Gomez and Virgil look grand in the inside training videos. Matip, he would look the likelihood that three top centre halves are going to be all out at the same time again is like the percentages are really, really small, I'd imagine. Last year was a freak show.
Yeah, it was 100%. Agile says I wouldn't mind playing Phillips. I don't want midfielders as centre back. That's a good point as well, and I agree with it. I suppose when you've seen what happened last season and how badly it went, and that's no reflection on that Phillips or anything like that. I think I'm just looking going, I just want Virgil van Dijk back. And I want Kanate. I just want Gomez, Kanate, Virgil, and Matip fit. And if Phillips plays his way into the team, I'm absolutely fine with that. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Phillips, though. And of course, Ben Davies as well. He left the camp for a personal matter, so we'll have to see what's going on with him. Well, moving on, lads. I want to talk about Harry Wilson. And Harry Wilson has left the club for a rumoured 12 million quid, I think, to Fulham. That's the rumoured amount. And I've seen loads of stuff going around, Keith. I'll come to you first. I've seen loads of things going around saying Liverpool have made 33.4 million in transfer fees this summer. Kanate, we paid 34 million for. I thought it was 36, but anyway, who's going to argue over 2 million quid? And you know, the amount of wages we've taken off the wage bill with those players leaving totals X amount, and it's more than what you will be paying Kanate. And it all adds up to we've sold all these to buy Kanate. First of all, what do you make of Wilson leaving? And do you feel it'll be the last? And is this an exercise, Keith, in let's get rid of all these players before we even look at bringing anyone in? Because if that's the case, you would have to be of the belief that Liverpool are just sitting there with no plans, just waiting to see, can't do anything because, you know, we haven't sold these players. What do you make of it?
First off, with Wilson, I never felt he was good enough for us, and that's not to have a dig at the young fella. I just didn't see where he ever fit in a Klopp Liverpool. You know, as a winger, I don't think he was quick or strong enough, and as a midfielder, I don't think he was clever or robust enough to play there either. He done well on all his loans. He's put up numbers on all his loans, usually with set pieces. He wouldn't have really been doing that if he'd have been given a chance with us. So it was never one. People used to say, oh, give him a chance, give him a chance. I don't think personally he would have been ever anyone that would have made an impression at us. So to get 12 million for him and a 15% sell on, you know, that's good business by Liverpool again. And it's good. It's a good move for Harry Wilson because So I know these players can get a say in where they go. Yeah, a permanent deal. Yeah,
that's the big thing. That's the big thing for me.
Yeah, it's at this stage of his career. You see players when they're going loan, and there's no stability, and it's the same for Grujic. You get loaned out all the time. You don't settle somewhere. You do well, then you're back to Liverpool. You're out somewhere else. You're back. You know, it's a never-ending cycle. So Harry Wilson now knows he's at Fulham. He's at a club that traditionally like to play football. They're in the Championship, but they'll be one of the favourites, I'm sure, to come back up. And it's a nice little move for him. He'd be the type of player that they will maybe build around and play to his strengths rather than him having to fit into air strengths. It certainly was never going to happen. So yeah, it's a good move for both parties there. 12 million's a good fee. I like that. We're getting money. We're getting good money in on these deals. I mean, the Grujic, Awini, Liam Miller, Camille Grabara, and now Harry Wilson. You know, these guys are going out and we're bringing in serious money for them. We're not bringing in 100 million for them, but we're bringing in money for guys that, you know, last season, we probably should have got rid of a couple of days, but the money wasn't there. I don't think the hit has been too bad this season. You know, I think I've seen people saying, you know, we'd be lucky to get double figures for Harry Wilson. We'd be lucky to get double figures for Marco Grujic. So, you know, I think we've done well so far in moving these. Now, my opinion on it comes back to this whole buy to sell thing, you know, and I think that gets twisted too much. I think it gets overplayed a bit. I just think we're trimming the squad and we're seeing what is in the squad and what we have to do to not make up our numbers, but we know there's issues with homegrown. People hate hearing this and think we go over the top about it, but, you know, we're one of the only sort of big clubs that have this issue because we don't have we've more non-homegrown players in the squad that we have to move out. We don't have the maneuverability to get players in. Man City have brought in a lot of English players. They'll pay top whack and bring them in. They bring in Nathan Ake, who's a homegrown player. You know, they'll do that and they'll get these guys in. Manchester United have a lot of homegrown players. They've no issue there. We're in a different position. We know that. We knew that last season. So it'll be interesting to see how we go about it. We get these guys out down the road. There's going to be another couple going. We know that there's going to be more players will leave. It'll be interesting to see who they are. Like, will it be Shaqiri? Will it be Origi? I don't know. You know, you'd think it's going to be one of them. And that's more money in. But that doesn't mean we have to wait to sell these before we can buy. I just think let's see the makeup of this. Let's trim the squad and then we buy. And I'm sure you agree, Seany, we have deals lined up. It's not like we're waiting to sell these and we're going to go scattergunning to see who we can get.
Well, Mark Gibbo says, lads, I'm sick of fans adding up the money we're getting in from sales. We're a £3 billion club, so we are told. Yeah. Liverpool is now a cash machine to FSG. When are we buying 2 quality players and stop being tight arses end off?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, without ending Mark Gibbo, please.
No, Mark. Liverpool are a cash machine to FSG. Well, they've taken $0 out of the club. So if it's a cash machine, it's not a very fruitful one.
Yeah.
You know, like, people are reading all these articles online and doing the maths in their head. That's on yous. FSG are saying nothing. These are all opinion pieces by these journalists. That's what people need to realise. It's someone's opinion. It's like me coming on here and saying FSG this. FSG are not saying a single word. These are all opinion pieces that are being put out by these journalists. That's all it is. And in terms of doing the maths, like, for example, we don't get a penny for Harry Wilson this summer. So if his sale means that we're going to bring someone in, then we're not going to be able to do anything. But it doesn't work like that. These deals and stuff like that, they're far way more complex than the run-of-the-mill Joe Soaps like myself can understand. That these lads are businesses. These all go into books. All of these accounts are done with foresight. For example, last year we only paid 6 million up front for Jota.
Yeah.
But we actually agreed to pay more for the player in order to stagger the payments. So it's not done like that. In my personal, I couldn't tell you exactly how it's being run, but in my opinion, what way it is looking for us this summer is it's not a buy to sell thing. We are literally just looking at the logistics of the squad, as Keith said, and the home ground thing is an issue. I'd imagine Minamino will probably go out on another loan towards the end of the window, and we might even loan Origi out, because with their contract situations, we can actually afford to do that. The problem is trying to get Origi out. Is maybe he's not that bothered, but I'd imagine Minamino probably wants to play his football. So getting them out, people are restless at the moment because of the way it's playing out. But you need to look around. Not many clubs have done business. Like, it hasn't even got going. Arsenal are starting to get going now, and I think Spurs are spending the Kane money, to be honest with you. That's the way it looks to me. But you need to realise that FSG, yeah, they are a £3 billion club. But if you actually look, and this isn't an opinion, you can look at the accounts. You can actually go in and look at them. And you don't even need to be an accountant or a brain surgeon to have any sort. If you look, you can see that every penny that comes into the club gets ploughed back in, whether it's in the renovation of the stadium, the training ground, player contracts, and transfers. Yeah, the net spend is low, so to speak, but that's because we're run well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We will do the big ones when we have to do it. I was as frustrated as anyone in January. You can go back and look at podcasts. I was very frustrated with the fact that you didn't buy a centre-half. But it was clear and obvious that in the end, with foresight, that they wanted, with hindsight, that they wanted Konate. They couldn't get him, so they'd rather wait. If you look to the summer we missed out on Virgil, we didn't buy a centre-half. We started the season light at the back. We got Virgil in January. So they're prepared to wait and do these things to get the right player that they want. When you look at last year, we very rarely get a number one target. Julian Brandt was the number one target over Mo Salah. Yeah, like, we've always had this sort of thing going. I wouldn't pay any. Just relax. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to tell you how to support Liverpool, because everybody, just relax. There's another month left to go in the window. The cogs are starting to turn, and we will get the two players that we need. I'm almost certain of it. Because they've always done that. You look back at the last two windows. Who's done better business than Liverpool? Tsimikas, although he didn't play last year, he's looked really good in pre-season. Yeah. Tsimikas, Thiago, Jota, and Konate in with another two. We'll be ready to go. People just need to chill out and relax and stay away from all them bleeding the shite coming out on being put out by personnel at the moment. Because it's clear that you need that nappy changed, because they're not getting any information off the club anymore. That's how it seems to me. So we will get the business done. It might be players that we aren't even linked to. Like, people are going mad over Jarrett Bowen. To be honest with you, if Klopp turned around tomorrow and said, "Do you want to sign X player from the second division in France?" I'd kind of trust him at this stage. Only Klopp. I've been critical of, I think, we're going on to Harry Wilson. He should have been sold last year. Michael Edwards gets this big build-up off everyone saying he's a genius and all that. I think probably moving players out might be a weakness of his. I think he probably should have moved out Harry Wilson last year, and we would have probably had a few more quid. But look, they're getting around to it. And one thing that has me positive is the club don't really seem to be holding out anymore for the highest bidders and stuff like that, because I believe he had more favourable offers from other clubs than Porto for Grujic, but they went with Porto to maintain a relationship. So, look, we'll get there in the end. You look at last year, it was the Chelsea. Thiago signs a couple of days before Chelsea, and he plays that Saturday. And on the same day, they're releasing articles about the potential signing of Jota. So it will happen. We're all geared up. I imagine they're just waiting to pull the trigger. I don't think it's a process of counting the beans to see how much we are. Like, I don't think they're looking down the back of the couch for coppers in Melwood or Corby, whatever they are. It will all work out in the end. Gav, you're on mute.
Yeah. Ramesh Khalil, couple of super chats. He says the midfield looks thin with the injury histories of Hendo, Thiago, Naby, and Fab, plus an aging Milner. What do you think of the Vlahovic and Chiesa rumours? We'll hold that question for a couple of minutes, because we are going to have our listeners' question in about 5 minutes or so. Delman Jones follows up with something similar. He says, what is your thoughts on Dusan Vlahovic linked, lads? Fiorentina had a pre-season game today. They win against a small team by 11-0. Vlahovic scored 7. I'm telling you right now, he is a monster striker. We will get on to Vlahovic, I promise, in the next couple of minutes, before we have a little chat around Ox, and it'll lead nicely into the forward options. My take on this is that I'm not arsed about Grabara or Gruitch or Wilson or whoever else has left the club because they have no impact on Liverpool. In the Liverpool we watch every week, they have no impact whatsoever. Right? Gruitch usually comes back for pre-season and plays a League Cup game and then he's off. Right? Harry Wilson, very similar. Harry Wilson, for me, I think it was one of the lads I was talking to the Red Sea lads during the week on their YouTube channel, and we kind of came to the agreement and right, that Cardiff move was so weird. Yeah. To go from Bournemouth in the Premier League and then back to Cardiff in the Championship was so weird with Harry Wilson. I think that's nearly telling you his time is up at Liverpool. Yeah. You know, what's the point of me pushing myself on here? It's not happening. I'll go to Cardiff, I'll have a decent season and I'll pick up a top-end Championship or, you know, a team looking to make their name in the Premier League, i.e. a Brentford or whoever it might be. So they don't really affect me. Now, I know where people go with the money and we haven't done this and we haven't done that. But for me, when I look at these, I just think, lads, these aren't going to make any difference to you watching Liverpool. These signings leaving. They're not. You know, now I think we're all in agreement here between the three of us and most people in the chat, I would say, that Liverpool need to sign another 2 players. All Absolutely. Right. And it's, I think it's backed up by the point that was just up on the screen about the thing in midfield, because I would have slight doubts over Henderson. We spoke about it when the contract stuff come up last week. His injury record isn't great over the last 2 seasons. Okay, you look, Fabinho always has a 6-8 weeks in, you know, where he's not there. Thiago, I wouldn't go too hard on Thiago. He gets a very bad injury. It's you know, he's given that injury. He doesn't, you know, at Everton. But you look at Naby, you look at Ox, Milner is that year older. Jones is still a young player, in my opinion, finding his way. So, you know, I think we're in agreement that we need 2. Now, having said that, people will look and say, well, why haven't we got them? Why haven't we got, if we all think we need 2, and the vast majority of Liverpool fans think we need 2, why haven't we got 2? I think it's a lot more complex than that. I think 100%. I think the Euros makes an issue, holidays make an issue, because holidays, we're only talking about last week, Henderson stuff. He's on holidays. It'll probably get sorted when he's back. You know, people will point at Jadon Sancho, go, well, they've done that. They're doing that 15 months. Yeah, they're talking to Borussia Dortmund 15 months and refusing to pay what Borussia Dortmund wanted. Eventually, they paid what Borussia Dortmund wanted, and the deal was done like that. Because let me be honest with you, Jadon Sancho had his heart set on Manchester United last summer, and it didn't happen. So when you look at that, the way I kind of get the feeling is, if this was Chelsea moving those players aside, you'd be going, geez, they're doing good business getting rid of a few there for decent money, and you know, that doesn't make a blind bit of difference to their squad. That's just the way I look at it. But I'm going to be with you. Like, if it comes, and this isn't a fucking threat or whatever, but if it comes to the 31st of August and the window closes and we haven't done a midfielder and a forward, I would ask serious questions.
Yeah, I think.
And the reason I would ask is, and people would say, well, you don't know better than Klopp. Of course I don't. Like, I don't know better than fucking anybody. But what I'm saying is, there's too many risks for me, and there's evidence of risks in this squad without another midfielder and a striker. So if you are of the feeling that we need 2, I'm fully with you. But give them the opportunity to make them 2 and then see where we are. But I'm going to be honest, I get the impression that if we signed, like, Jared Bowman is a bit strange for me. He's on a list. That's all it was said. It wasn't Liverpool that made an offer. He's on a list. Yeah. We don't know if he's 18th on that list and there's 20 people on it.
Yeah, like, I don't mean to sound preachy by telling people to relax, and you're not stupid. And you're not an imbecile for feeling the way that you do and getting restless, because you need to realize that this is actually, that this is what they want. They're causing this store that generates clicks, and people crave the news like junkies. So as soon as something goes out regarding Liverpool, boom, 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 it's click, 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 and they know exactly what to put up. They know, look, Jared Bowen, say he's part of a list, bang, everyone jumping on it. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They're feeding off that. That's exactly what they're doing, because they haven't got any real news. Yeah,
but the Athletic then put out a story saying that West Ham are not going to be selling Jared Bowen. So the same sort of, the same company are saying he's on a list, and then
people get restless and they go on typing up, and then they're commenting on these articles, and it's all clicks and it's all engagement, and this is all what it's about. Like, journalism is gone. It's dead in football. This is the new form. This is media now in football. Fan media, where people can come on and talk, and look, you can say whatever the hell you want and you're not backed up by anyone.
It's like the Chiesa stuff. It's like the Chiesa stuff, Seany.
Where's it? Exactly.
It comes out of Italy that Liverpool have made an £86 million bid for Federico Chiesa, isn't that his name?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, I've seen loads of Liverpool fans going, fuck me, have they made that bid because he's brilliant? And he is brilliant. Don't get me wrong. He's probably worth that money.
But now when that doesn't happen, people become mental.
Yeah.
There you go. It doesn't happen. And why couldn't we get that done? Juve probably asked for 90 and we wouldn't pay it. Like, I don't know how true that is coming out of Italy. I'd find it hard to believe that Liverpool are going around offering 86 million for Chiesa. That's my own opinion, judging on past Liverpool performance and the way their outlay is with regards to players. Maybe when you put Alisson and Van Dijk aside, but it's just one of those, and I don't try to be flippant by saying this doesn't fucking matter, but it doesn't. Like you're not going to rock up at Anfield next our fourth home game and walk in and go, oh, do you know what, I miss Greenwich and Wilson. I won't even give them a second fucking thought. You know, the sort of way. But you could rock up at Anfield and go, we're short of fucking midfielder and striker.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it, because when you look at it, and let's be honest, Salah has been amazing. There's no other word for him. He's the best. I think he's the best player in Liverpool. Yeah, I think he's the best player in Liverpool in the Premier League era. I genuinely do. I think he's just phenomenal. The only one that touched him is Gerrard, right? But Mane has had an off season and he's open about it. And Firmino has just had no rest. He's there another summer playing football. You know what I mean? So, the moves have to be made. But and this isn't a cop-out where people go, oh, you love FSG and you're trying to kick the can down the road. I'm not, because I'm telling you now, in my opinion, we need two. If we get to the 34th of August and them two aren't in, I would say, hold on, there's something wrong here. Now, having said that, if two come in and they've spent a combined 50 million on them two, I'm not going to argue, because I'm not going to turn and go, you should have spent 100, because there is why I'm not my Liverpool's manager and Jurgen Klopp is. I think that's probably the easiest way to put it. Go on, Seany.
Like you said, Gav, look, I don't subscribe to this top red bleeding FSG in, FSG out or crap. Like, I'm a Liverpool fan. This is a Liverpool podcast. That's all that matters to me. I support Liverpool. Liverpool will be still there when I'm dead and gone. When John Henry is dead and gone, Liverpool will still be there. These are just custodians. They just happen to own the football club that I support. I don't really care what they do once they have the best interest in the club somewhere along the line. Not like the other shower of shites. Now, they have done stuff wrong. They've done an awful lot right. So you can't just fuck away everything good that they've done because of the one bad thing that they've done. Yeah, look, they're a sports investment group. They're not sugar daddies from fucking oil states or like the usual. You look at Abramovich, they haven't got like disposable income in terms of, they're running the club the way they've literally turned us into what United were doing in the 90s. We're a behemoth on the pitch and off the pitch.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. We've been European champions and won league titles, which can't be said for anyone else who's owned us in the last 40 years. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just a Liverpool fan. I don't really give a bollocks about FSG. I'm not a bean counter. I don't care what they do. Just once it comes to 31st of July, and I think that they've given Jurgen Klopp the tools to go on and for us to challenge for all major honours, then I have no major gripe. But I'm telling you now, if it does come to the 31st of June, of August, and they haven't done the business, serious questions should be asked. And there's no doubt about that. But let's wait until then, because we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They've made me look like a fool all too many times. I was going mad screaming for us to sign Timo Werner. Never happened. I remember watching Deadline Day one Christmas and we didn't sign Conor Plianka, and I think I wrecked every wall in my bedroom. But that was me before. But it's all for fucking nothing. You know what I mean? Look at us now. We're in good stead. They will always do what's right for the club, I believe. It's not about it's not a monetary thing. That's just the way I see it. And if you look at past base, how can you argue otherwise? We are literally in a better position now in every asset. On the pitch, off the pitch, training ground, infrastructure, stadium. It's all there. And it's all ground. They haven't done that. And you look at across the road, just for example, spend the money guarantees you nothing. We all seen the big list. It's going around. It's been viral this week of the top 10 most expensive signings in Premier League history. And I'm looking at 10 of them going, only 2 of them are probably guaranteed successes. You're looking at Van Dijk and Kevin De Bruyne, and then you look at that absolute crap that Manchester United have bought. Spending the most money guarantees you nothing. Guarantees you absolutely nothing. The only thing that it's guaranteed the Glazers is it makes the noise go away for a little while. So the green and gold till United is sold, yeah, hold on. Park that until we're mid-table again.
That's gone until they go out of the Champions League or mathematically can't win a title.
Park that until January, February, and then might come around again and rinse, repeat. But what's not talked about is the hole in the stadium, the holes in the roof of Old Trafford. The fact that
the training ground.
United's training ground is miles behind the likes of Leicester now, Arsenal now, us, Liverpool. Spurs, you know what I mean, Chelsea. Like, so spending money doesn't guarantee you anything, but having infrastructure and making the right decisions, that guarantees success one way or another, and it has with us. And you need to realise what we're up against. Like, the talk this week is that City are going to pay 160 million for Kane, and Chelsea are going to pay 180 million for Haaland. These fellas are working fucking miracles, whether you like it or not. And it's all got to do with Klopp. I know you do have reservations about what or why might not happen when Klopp leaves, but he's there now, and he was hired by FSG, and he's doing exactly what he set out to do. Unless Klopp is up in arms about it, well, then we should all fucking relax. That's the way I see it. Klopp only signed the contract. If Klopp wasn't happy with the direction that the club was going and how the owners were, he would have never signed that contract.
Yeah.
Well, Red Steve said 600 of you haven't clicked like. Do it for Seany's guns, if not for the show. I do it more for Seany's guns than any show that we do, to be very honest with you. And
setting,
the big light
setting an unhealthy precedent for the rest of us.
And ET in the bush behind him there. You can see ET phoning home with the light coming out of the bush behind him there as well. So do it for ET and Seany's guns, please. Somebody says there that they'd love an oil state to be in charge.
No. I mean...
It's a hard one because... do you know what? I get where people come from when they go, these people come in, they've loads of money, they'll spend loads of money, they'll keep us at the top. I'm reading the thing yesterday about Man City where the Premier League are now coming down on them. The Premier League are ready to go after them after Cass went after them and a technicality, right? And I'm looking at that and I'm looking at Abramovich being banned out of England, wasn't he, for a while because what was going on with them and they had transfer things and all. I 100% guarantee you, if Liverpool are taken over by a sovereign state or a Russian oligarch, there will be people within media organizations and their only job will to be go and find something on Liverpool. Because no Man City story about financial irregularities or Chelsea, they would be both be in the halfpenny place compared to if they can find something on Liverpool. So I understand what people are saying, where, you know, we'd have all this money and stuff, but at the end of the day, Liverpool compete. And I think, like Seany said earlier, last season hit people hard. You know, but I think when you see these players coming back, and like I said, we'll sit here on the 4th of September and we'll discuss the transfer window, and then we'll say, do you know what, they probably haven't done enough, so fill your boots, we're having a go. And I don't think the argument, oh well, maybe that's what Klopp wanted. I'm sorry, but like, if anyone looking at that squad, no, you need to. They know you need to. But anyway,
but Melissa Reddy came out, didn't she, and sort of changed the tone and said Liverpool are actively now looking for a midfield player and an attacker. Do you know what I mean? So the journal that wasn't coming out with the sort of throw Liverpool under the bus stories that had been coming out in the last couple of weeks, everyone was saying, well, Melissa Reddy hasn't said that and Paul Joyce hasn't said that. Well, now Melissa Reddy's coming out saying Liverpool are actively going after a midfielder and a forward. So that's obviously trickling out that you can take it, that Liverpool are looking for it. And I know we can say, oh, but you'll rubbish it if James Pearce is saying it. Or,
I would, because he's talked a lot of rubbish for the last 2 years.
And so that's why Melissa already has got a lot of stuff. She seems to have her finger on the pulse, and Paul Joyce still has his finger on the pulse there. And if she's coming out saying that, you can take it then that there will be, you know, two players coming in my opinion. There will be 2 players in before the start of the season.
The comments have been unreal tonight. Loads of the comments coming. They really have, from both sides, like, because there is people on both sides of the fence in terms of FSG and whatever.
All opinion.
Like, the thing, it's starting to happen now in Spain, and you're seeing the crunch with Barcelona. I think we're getting closer and closer and closer to these salary caps, and having these big sugar daddies and all won't mean job, because they are going to start tightening up. Because the problem is, like, football is hemorrhaging money. It's bleeding out big time. With the revenues are rising, but not as fast as the salaries and the transfer fees are rising. So the FFP has been relaxed this year, but I genuinely do believe that once all of these salary caps and all come in, we will be in the best position to go forward. Because look, you need to realise that they're not thinking about 1 window, 2 window. Like, it's 2 and 3 year plans, 4, 5 year plans with them. So like what's going on here in La Liga at the moment is mental. The president is under big pressure, but he doesn't care. He's at the going after Barcelona. He's at the basically saying, look, you can't just bend the rules anymore and do what you want. They tried to say to Messi, we're going to pay you for 3 years after you're not even playing for us anymore. So they said, we're going to give you our wages over 5 years, but you'll only be here for 2 years, if you get me. And they said, no, you can't fucking do that. They stopped Real Madrid years ago from just turning around saying, we're going to sell off our training grounds to the state and all. That's all gone now. They're starting to really pinch down on it. And I think it will carry over into the Premier League, because everyone was going on about integrity and all with this European Super League. The Premier League have to be seen following that up now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You can't allow that to be going on in your own backyard when you turn around and say, look, what's going on in Europe there? That's not really all well and good in terms of fairness. Yeah, well, look, Premier League will need to do something. So I do feel that, well, very, very close to salary caps coming in. And if you turn around and ask me, with salary caps come in, who's best placed? I think we are. I think we're good to go.
But it all depends when you cap them. Because if you
American owners know everything there is to know about salary caps, because every sport in America is based around it.
Not only that, if they say to you, right, in 3 years' time, okay, we're salary capping, and the max, you can have 5 players on 250 grand, you can have 10 players up to 100 grand, and you can have another 10 players up to 80 grand. Right, there's so many players in squads now that are over there, but some clubs can adjust to it, and some clubs just can't. Because there's no way a fella on 350 grand is turn around and go, listen, I'll take 150 grand from here on in.
But Gav, where's he going to go then? Like that. This is what I'm saying. When it's brought in across the board, like, it's taking the power out of player hands. And I agree with it. Players and agents have had their ways with football clubs for fucking well too long. Way too long. And they won't be able to do that now. I'm going to go and play. They probably all end up playing in China.
Yeah, well, that's out of the jurisdiction. Yeah,
out of the jurisdiction, and that's probably all that's going to happen. You see now in Spain, they're trying to set up this thing now where third parties can all players. The way it is in South America, Keith would know more about that than me. They're trying to do that now with players there to try get around this, but they're not. They're clamping down on it, and that is what's going to happen.
Well, LFC Aaron says...
Tony Moncanobi says they don't believe a word of Spanish teams pleading poverty. They're hemorrhaging money, man. Like that,
yeah, they are. They're in a serious amount.
Florentino Perez headed all of this because he needed it more than anyone. Who was the last 3 clubs to go?
Yeah. Are they still in it?
No, Atletico pulled out because Atletico are in great shape.
Yeah.
Because Atletico they're in good shape. You know, like another thing with the Saul thing is they want him out because Saul signed a 10-year contract or something, and he's guaranteed a pay rise every year. Yeah. So they want him out as soon as possible, because the longer he's there, the harder it'll be to get rid of. Do you get me?
Yeah.
So that Spain they're in a bad way. Like the clubs are in a bad way there in Spain. The top 2 as well. We're not talking about like Darlingtons and fucking Fleetwood Towns. Like 2 of the biggest clubs in world football are in a bad state because of salaries.
Yeah,
salaries
Barcelona's wage bill is ridiculous.
It's just madness. LFC Aaron says Chelsea or Roman 1.4 billion. Rodney says Gav, salary cap doesn't mean 1 or 2 players won't be on high wages. That just means the rest of the team will be on peanuts. Well, usually the way the MLS, I think, have a certain amount of you can have a certain amount of foreign players and a certain amount on them. You can have marquee players, so there's a certain amount of marquee you can have on this amount, and then if you have a squad of 20, they break it down into 10, 5, and 5 or something like that. And then there's an amount put beside all those. And, I'm not saying it'll be...
They do franchise tags as well, where you're allowed player, whatever you want.
Yeah.
You get one of them.
Yeah, there's one of them. But, like, let's be honest about it. If you look at some clubs around the world, they probably need 4 or 5 of them. Do you know what I'm saying? But look, that's down the road, and we'll have to see. Lads, we're gonna do another 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, right? And I'll let Seany decide how long we do. He's the minister of time. So I want to do just questions from the chat. The chat has been unbelievable tonight. So the questions can be football, non-football, whatever you want for the next 15 minutes.
Have the crack. We'll have the crack.
Yeah, we'll have the crack. But I want to tie it in with Ox. Been looking around this false 9, and somebody did ask any chance to get Melissa ready on. I'll be on my best behaviour. I think it was Red Steve. We'll have a go. We'll ask her and see what happens. All right. But I want to tie it in with Ox. So I just want to start off with this because we did get questions earlier about Dusan Vlahovic, and there's been talk out of Ox about playing the false 9, and he's comfortable with it. He likes it, and I'm going to be honest, lads. I don't like this talk. I'm going to be honest, I don't like this talk because it feels to me like that wedging, a bit like when the right back talk came up a little while ago. It feels like that wedging Oxlade-Chamberlain into some sort of position where we need somebody. I'll put it this way. If I play Bobby Firmino 10 times and Ox 10 times, I know I'm getting more out of Bobby Firmino. So what's the point in Ox? Whereas if I need goals, I want to replace Bobby Firmino with goals. And I don't think that comes from Oxlade-Chamberlain. Keith, are you all right with this idea? Or what's your feeling on Vlahovic? Because people are absolutely screaming for him. They're all over him. They love him.
Yeah, the Ox thing, that came in last season, didn't it? Klopp came out and said he was going to try him as a false 9, played him there a couple of times, or put him on there a couple of times. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think he has the attributes to do it. I think he has the attributes to be a poor version of Firmino. And people say Firmino is a poor version of Firmino. But you know, you're right, Gav. He doesn't have the goal scoring ability, I don't think, to get big numbers there. So all you're really getting maybe is Firmino light, and we don't need that. We need an improvement now. Is Dusan Vlahovic an improvement? Time will tell. I think he's excellent. I think he's brilliant. I haven't seen 100 matches of him by any stretch of the imagination, but I've seen enough games of his to form an opinion that I think he'll be good. He's 6'3", he's quick, left-footed. He's not afraid to shoot from distance. I like him. I think he's good. We're not looking, if Vlahovic is our main target, we're not looking to replace Firmino. We're just bringing in a young
system, maybe.
Yeah, but a young player, Seany, that we can mould and eventually put into the team. So if you're bringing in Erling Haaland is going in and he's taking fucking Firmino's number off him and all, you know what I mean? Whereas if Vlahovic comes in, he's coming in as part of a unit. Yeah, Vlahovic is coming in as part of a unit, and it will
and that's the way it should be.
It should be, yeah. But
that's
what I mean.
I don't like this. Who's replacing who? I want just. Yeah. Is he really, really good? Yeah, and he's playing for Liverpool now.
Yeah,
I don't want a discussion about anything else. I want 5 or 6 up front that are brilliant. Sorry, I want to just throw at this Tahir Kashiri and Qureshi. Sorry, Liverpool LFC being careful. Mondays hinders our success and trophies. Same squad, nothing has changed. Teams know how to play us last season as a hint. Tahir, I'm gonna have to.
Is that why we?
I'm gonna have to disagree with you hugely on that. Right?
Yeah. We won a Premier League.
Last season wasn't a hint. Yeah, last season wasn't a hint. You know, last season, you look at the amount of players that were out and the amount of different centre-back partnerships. I think someone said 26 injuries to different players last year. Hinders our success and trophies. We had a Champions League final, a Champions League, a league title, a European Super Cup and a World Club Cup. And what happened last season has dug deep on people. Really has dug deep on people. But I think... And I know I do get that teams know how to play us. I slightly agree with you on that. I do agree with you on that, and that's why I think we need to up it a little bit with regards to 2 signs. But overall, I think don't forget about last season because I think it exposed some people. But I think you have to give a bit of leeway on last season, and that leeway will only be told, I suppose, probably 10, 15 games into next. Seany,
we were top of the league up till Christmas last season, and we were top of the form table in the running. You know,
stop talking sense.
One period that we were bad. That's all.
Stop talking sense, Keith.
Well, Seany, I want to ask you about Dusan Vlahovic.
Yeah.
I like his name. I'm going to be honest with you. I've seen him and he has grey hair.
Yeah.
Okay. He scored 7 goals today, so I'm all up for that. I've seen him probably play in 3 football matches, and I thought he was good. But he absolutely bangs of cult hero bashing in headers all over the shop, and I think he's a new element that Liverpool could have.
There's a massive stench of Robert Lewandowski off him. So? And I tell you what, if you think I have guns, go over and have a look at his Instagram. Fella will make you feel bad about yourself. Honestly, fellas, strutting around Ibiza and with nothing on. He just like a Greek god. But I have to say, from the 9.5 minutes of techno music and highlights I've watched of Dusan Vlahovic, he's the best player I've ever seen in my life, to be honest with you. And I'm nearly sure Robert Lewandowski be going to bed with a pair of Dusan Vlahovic jocks on tonight.
Charms on him. Ramis Khalil says the exact same.
No,
to be honest,
yeah, look, I'll be honest, I remember when Grizz said it to I'll give Grizz props. Grizz said it to us probably about 6-7 weeks ago on the WhatsApp, and my natural reaction just was, having never seen him, was he's a stocking. I said, you know what, I'm going to have a look at him. I'm surprised at how quick he is.
Yeah.
How mobile he is, how quick his feet are, how technical he is. He seems a bit like a Zlatan Lewandowski. I think he would be great. It's a bit of a gamble buying a fella from Serie A for the touted price after one season. But look, again, I just trust whatever they're going to do. And the thing that I like about it is it's a bit different. It's not a Malin. It's not like the others we've been looking at. It's not a Malin. It's not a Chiesa. It's not a goal scoring and wide player. It's not really a floaty number 9, sort of like Malin is. It's a target man. And if we've seen that, and if Alisson Becker's header against West Brom didn't teach us what it'd be like to have some fella who can head a ball in the box, what it'd be like to have one of them, nothing will. Maybe Klopp's going to look at like a 4-2-3-1 in his early days at Dortmund with Lewandowski up top. I think it'd be a great signing. It'd be very, very exciting for me.
Paddy Pig says it there is Zeko. He's very like Zeko, and that's a great show.
No,
people have likened him to Zeko.
Zeko's more of a predator. This fella has technique. This fella has feet. You see him dancing around people. He's very quick.
Played lethal as well. Yeah, he
him and Graffiti, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I remember. Look, I don't care if you tell me I'm gonna get Ollie Watkins or Jarrett Bowen. I trust him, but I really like the look of Vlahovic. I think he really looks good, and I'd like to get him out of there early, because if he goes to Juventus, you're never gonna get him, because he's gonna tear it up there.
Somebody says, get him this season, or otherwise you'll be watching him going to a rival next season, and you really regret it. Somebody says Joshua says, Trent with someone to aim for turns me on. And the previous comment, which I've knocked off the screen and I shouldn't have, was, where are the t-shirts with Kenny's cabinet on it? If I could think of a decent design of a cabinet to do with Kenny Dalglish, of course, Kenny's cabinet, famous the night Liverpool won the league, when he had the biggest cabinet you've ever seen in the background while he wore a Liverpool scarf celebrating the title. But I'll definitely have a look at it. If you have any more questions, random or football, throw them in. But the Vlahovic thing is it. Yeah,
caveat everything I said about Vlahovic is that I literally have only seen him on YouTube, so they don't show you all the shy parts. They don't show so. Going off that,
but I do remember you.
If we're being linked with him,
watching a few games. I do remember you watching a few games and actually coming back and going, "Holy fuck, he's good."
Well, I've seen the highlights. One of them, one player that I was watching was Renato Sanchez before the Euros and all, and I said that is, I'd love him. I think he'd be perfect Gini replacement, and that's the one who I want. I'm not really Saul. Yeah, he's a brilliant player, but I think there's way too much interest in him now for him to come to us. The wage is going to be thrown at him will be mental. But I do think Sanchez is one who could really kick on. I know he has injury problems and all that, but I think he could be really
disappointing for me. I think if we were in there early to get him, I would have liked to see us get him. Now, look, stranger things have happened, and it could be something down the line. And he picks, instead of looking for massive money, he makes a football decision rather than a money one. But that happens very rarely, to be honest with you. As much as we like to talk about players coming to Liverpool because they love to play for Liverpool, there's a lot of players, but the vast majority, I think, go because they're offered loads and loads of money. But we'll have to wait and see. But for me, the Vlahovic thing, he's just different, and I like that. I like that because something that rings true that a couple of people have said in the chat about people know how to play us, and I think that did shine through a little bit last season. And I think that was maybe down to the personnel that we had available and the form we were going through. And it's very easy to revert to a certain type where lads get it wide and lob it in the box and let's fucking hope something happens. And that was happening with Trent and Robertson a lot. But if you actually have a purpose to that, with the likes of a Vlahovic in there, or maybe someone else. But if you have someone in there that's like, yeah, throw her in there. I'm waiting to see. You know, a bit like Andy Carroll when he played with Liverpool. When
but I think that's doing him a disservice because I'm looking at this fella and he's moving around like a housefly. I'm saying, how that's not right. This fella is 6 foot odd. How mobile is he? So he's a bit of an alien. A little bit looks like a bit like Haaland. Like Haaland is deceptively like when you look at Haaland, you think that thing's like rock.
He's a monster.
But the fella, he's like a torpedo moving across the ground.
He's so fucking good.
Yeah.
Like if you want a dream signing this summer, it's him.
Yeah, he's amazing.
But that's the profile. That's the profile of Vlahovic. Now I take Mbappe over Haaland every day. But that's the profile of Vlahovic. No, Vlahovic is that.
You can do that one actually. Mbappe or Haaland.
Haaland all day.
Because I tell you what, Mbappe, and I'm not just saying it because we're not getting him. Obviously,
he's a massive grind hair away from his career.
Mbappe is a hamstring away from being Michael Owen. God bless him. That's the truth.
He is. 1975 Jamrock says, I sent a super chat that I didn't see about narrative. We didn't see it either, but I'm going to be honest with you. It's not there. But if you want to just throw it in as a normal comment about narrative, I'll read it out. Liam Kenny says, Vlahovic and Jota on the bench battling for a 14th place can only benefit us and get the best out of Mane and Bobby again. I saw Basuma to replace Gini. We're injured lads back. We'll smash it. It's interesting because I do feel that if the season starts tomorrow, Liverpool are the team to be. I genuinely believe that with the players that are back and available for us. But in saying that, I know what other teams are going to do. You know City are going to do something. There's loads of rumour around Kane. There's rumour around Grealish. I think Chelsea will definitely do something. Spurs are making moves, although what do you say about Spurs? Arsenal, I couldn't believe I've spent about 80 million. I don't know anyone that they've signed. Villa I genuinely don't. I'm like, what? Like, when did this happen? Who are they?
They bought Ben White. They bought Nuno Tavares.
Is Ben White done? I think Ben White.
Was done today.
Yeah,
Nuno Tavares, the left back. They signed what's his name?
That Belgian young player,
the Belgian lad, Lecombe. They signed him, and they're trying to sign Aaron Ramsdale.
I've seen that actually.
25 million.
But that's scattergun. Again, this will all prove that spending means absolutely nothing. But I do like the signing. I think Ben White's a good player.
He's a good player, but 50 million and Brighton have a sell-on fee and all on that. It's a great deal for Brighton, in fairness. But it just goes to show, is that going to make a difference to Arsenal? Do they, is Ben White going into that defence? I don't know if that's what they need, but look, time will tell. He's a good player. We spoke highly of him when Liverpool were linked, so I'm not going to change my opinion of him now because he's going to Arsenal. He's a good player.
Arsenal are about to offer 18 million, rising to 25 million for Ramsdale, according to Chris Brack. He is garbage. I've stuck a comment up there, Haaland or Mbappe. Loads of coming in with Haaland, a few coming in with Mbappe. But there's something about Haaland for me. There's something about him. It's the way he carries himself.
You know what?
He's I don't even know the word from him. He's an arrogant fucker. But
you look at
hard working at the same time. There's just something about him where I go.
Look what happened to Mbappe at the Euros. I think he might be a bit of a soft cock, like the penno and all that. Like, to be honest with you, I think he might be a little bit. And
I don't know.
Getting ratty around and getting a bit ratty and stuff. He was saying to Giroud, I think he might be a bit of a soft touch. Now, don't get me wrong. As a talented fella's out of this world, like 22 years of age, and he has the game on strings. But Haaland is a robot. Haaland is a robot. He's a killer. And one thing I will say, that I've seen someone go mad about me saying something about Edwards. If Michael Edwards was as good as he was, Haaland would have been signed by Liverpool leaving the ground that night at Anfield, because he comes off the bench and runs us ragged and scores at Anfield in the Champions League for Salzburg. And if this scouting network was as good as, like, if Michael Edwards is statue worthy, he's picking up Haaland from Salzburg. He's using his contact, because not long after that did we sign Minamino from them. So we should have been looking at the likes of them. And people are talking about Rafinha now from Leeds. We should have been getting him from Rennes. This is why we should be looking at the likes of Doku, Vlahovic before they get that big move, and we have to be pulling them away from these big teams.
Especially if they're on Premier League and you're paying a whack on them.
I'm not discounting everything they've done, because they've done really good. They've obviously done really good stuff, but you need to be quick on the draw with these ones, pulling them away to get me before they get the chance. Like Sancho, getting a Sancho before he goes to City. I know City may want to have to do with us, but we could have pulled him away there for a little or nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's being clever and there's being clever. So I think we can get a little bit better at that in that regard. And this is where I think probably Nick and Vlahovic now before he goes to Juve, and you never get him.
Yeah.
Because you never leave Italy.
Bobby Richmond asks, lads, how much do you think the Austria trip cost? Is this for the whole club? I don't know. Self-catering, I presume. About 40 of them. 500 quid a head. Self-catering. They all have to bring their own crisps.
Bring your own. Yeah.
Bring your own gear. Cooler boxes and all that stuff. But and then they'll obviously have to pay extra if you want to bring extra luggage or you want to get on the plane first and stuff like that, because Liverpool are cheapskates and won't pay for the proper planes and all that. Propellers on this plane instead of proper engines and all, I'd say. But throw us in a couple of random questions before we go. But it's
on the Haaland one before we finish up. I don't think we had a chance at getting him from Salzburg, because Seany's right. We signed Minamino shortly after that, and we had an arrangement with Salzburg. We had a good relationship with them. The training ground was built based on their training ground. The Red Bull thing came. They went and visited Salzburg, so there was definitely a connection there to do it. I think Mino Raiola wouldn't have wanted him going to Liverpool at that stage. He had his eye on the move to Dortmund. And a step for the big one, and that's the agent walking.
It's all right, Keith. I'm just gonna go back into me box now. All right, nice one.
That's okay. Well, you come on the show with your blade and guns hanging out here, Shawnee, embarrassing me.
You know what?
I thought it was looking amazing, and then you come on giving it all this.
No, Keith he's 100% spot on, and I think we said that last week, didn't we? That he probably Raiola knew his next two clubs, before he did, and you look at Marlon, so things are very same. So. Yeah, there you go. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me.
No, listen to Sean. He's right.
Listen to Sean. He's the minister.
Right. The minister of everything.
Right, lads, before we finish up, they're not coming in with random questions that aren't football, so fuck them. 2 players we sign by the end of the window. I want you to give me the 2 players you believe Liverpool will sign by the end of the window. They could sign 3, they could sign 4, we don't know. But who are the 2 players that you feel Liverpool will sign by the end of the window? Just to give you a chance, Kev O'Sullivan has Neuhaus and Vlahovic.
One's got to be homegrown.
Saul and Rafinha from Micah. Saul and Neto from Mick. There's more coming in, I'd say. Oh, McGinn and Bowen from Liverpool.
That's where I'm thinking.
Bissouma and Vlahovic from
Bissouma and Bowen, I'm thinking.
Okay. So, Keith, give me the 2 players you think Liverpool will sign. Now, listen, we won't massively hold it.
Yeah.
Like, if it was Grizz, I'd hold them. But by the way, Monty Tariq says, "Damn, Keith, looking good in that short, man. You stud muffin."
Nice one there. That's me burner account.
I'd say it is.
And stop calling me fucking Pope Lucky, you shower of fuckers. I was only giving you some help.
Gives a squeeze of them muscles.
Who took the jam out of your downer?
Wait, Jamrock. Welcome to Jamrock. Was put as we must.
No, he said I sent it in the normal chat now. Thanks, fellas. I haven't seen it. I keep looking for his name. But go on, Keith. Give me the 2 names. I'll look for
Jamrock. I agree with sort of Sean. I think that has to be homegrown. So I don't know if it was me picking. I think it will be an unknown, and not an unknown, but someone that hasn't been linked yet, and Vlahovic. I think we're going to sign 3. I think we're going to sign Vlahovic, we're going to sign Saul, and we're going to sign another unknown homegrown player, and we're going to get rid of Origi, and we're going to get rid of Shaq. Make space.
Okay, no worries. Before I get you to answer, Shawnee, I found a comment from 1975. Jamrock, he says, I said that sell to buy is a social media narrative. If you look at the transfer market website for all transfers, it will blow that up. All major players sold, asked to leave, or new coach.
Yep. 100%. And you look at nearly every club, it's across, except for the anomalies that are City and Chelsea. And
but even City are raising 100 million this summer apparently from selling shite that no one ever heard of, or players that have been out on loan like Angelino, that due a windfall, Sancho, that due a windfall. Do you know what I mean? And that's why these deals, when you put sell-on clauses, can come back and benefit you down the line.
Okay. Jeremiah Verberation says, breaking news, United are strongly linked with Saul from Atletico Madrid to replace Pogba, who looks like
that would be typical United buying the type of midfielder that they don't need.
Yeah.
James Ward-Prowse and Vlahovic says Jeremiah. I just thought it was interesting.
Nice.
Shawnee, 2 players.
I can't get away from Basuma for some reason.
Because he's not gone anywhere else.
Because he hasn't gone anywhere else. And Arsenal are signed players at a rate of leading nuts. Yeah. And if they haven't got him by now, I think because we were linked to him early on. So I think it might be him. Jarrod Bowen, look, it's not sexy. It doesn't make you horny. You know, it doesn't make you horny at all. You might need a few blue Pfizers. You might need a tray of blueies, but I don't know if we could get a Rigi out. I'd love a Vlahovic.
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to the 3. I think you might be pushing about out, Keith.
Yeah,
I think that might. If there was a third, that would probably be a backup right back, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like Gav, you said when you said Javi in there, I think that's how you said
off Rangers. Yeah.
Like I think that's a great show. 28-year-old, he'd be delighted to come down and play for Liverpool. Like just as a squad option.
I just think he's very similar to Trent.
A bit of like obviously his wages aren't sky high up north.
Yeah. No, I think you'd be looking at 10 to 15 million. I think from. I think he's very similar to Trent in the way he plays. He gets forward, he gets assists, he gets goals, he takes penalties, and
free kicks.
It's just he pops into my head every so often. James Tavernier because
and he's a homegrown player,
just the style of player he is. Yeah,
and he'd be a homegrown. Yeah, look, if I'm getting away from this is purely hypothetical, isn't it? Like Bowen, I think Bowen could be the wide player, the attacker, but if it wasn't for injuries, I would have been all over Neto. And if it wasn't Neto, it would have been Harvey Barnes. And I probably would have been given Leicester whatever he wanted for Harvey Barnes.
Because I think he's the same.
I think he's fucking brilliant. I think he's an excellent player. One who's definitely going to go on to another level.
And looks like he'd suit us as well.
Yeah, 100%.
He has that. I think he has a bit of a Suarez vibe off him. The way he plays, the way he runs into players and bashes off them and runs away from them. And I'm not saying he's Suarez level, but he has that kind of feel off.
Yeah.
Like he would have been very interesting.
I think it's going to be him, Gav. I do.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be him.
I think it's very interesting because that's literally been going since the final whistle last season. You know, when it was all Basuma's gone. Liverpool are in from, Arsenal. Liverpool and Arsenal seem to be the 2 names that were always on people's lips about them. And you see Arsenal have spent, I think it's 80 million, I've seen. Now, I don't know any of the players. I think they're all kind of project players, Ben White included. And I kind of look at Basuma and go, unless Arsenal know this is done, unless Arsenal simply know this is done and they're just doing other business and they go and get this done when they're ready.
They wouldn't have been signing your man Lukonga, wouldn't they not? Like,
yeah, I don't know. But then again, isn't Xhaka meant to be leaving Arsenal? So there could be a couple of spots there at Arsenal. So the Basuma one, the Basuma one is strange. Like someone asked there, didn't Basuma put in a transfer request early on? I don't know if he put in a transfer request.
Yeah, well, that was the rumor.
Yeah, it could be paper talk as well, as we say. You don't believe everything.
Ashley Lawrence just says Brighton are waiting for a bidding war that might never happen. Yeah, you see,
they've got 50 million for Ben White.
But a bidding war doesn't happen if it openly looks like the player's looking for a move, and B, he's constantly being linked with Arsenal. You won't get a bidding war because it just clubs will go, he's going to Arsenal. So you think Basuma, Shawnee, Keith signing 3. But Basuma,
I'll make a 4. I'll take Neuhaus as well. Okay. I like Neuhaus.
Jesus Christ, Keith. Keith's back on Breford again.
Kane Soft for Neuhaus.
This is a tribute to the this is a tribute to the recently deceased Pro Evo from Keith.
Yeah.
Jesus, they're only saying that to upset me, Gaff.
I know, it was brilliant. And International Superstar Soccer was even better on the Super Nintendo, just for the record. But Shawnee, Basuma and Neto, if he hadn't got the injuries, but you think
Neto definitely? Neto is the business. Like, I hope he recovers from his injury because you're out. He's deadly. He's fucking deadly. One who I really would have loved to see him is going in for, but obviously he got injured. But if I'm being perfectly honest with you, and it's not a good podcast answer, I haven't a fucking clue because I wouldn't have told you Jota this time last year.
Exactly.
Yeah. But
that would have been laughed out of the gaff. So
I know, but we laugh at you in a couple of weeks when we watch this back because people will always watch back and then hammer us for it, and that's fair enough. I think it's definitely. I think the right back cover could be something that if it comes late in the window, they might go and do. But in midfield and a forward is definitely. And I think when you look at Salah and you look at Mane and you look at Jota, you kind of have, and Elliott, if he's in the squad, you kind of have your wide positions covered. If you want to put Ox up there and play him either side and make him part of that, group, fine.
Maybe that's the Neto idea. Maybe the Neto thing is he's the top target. Not that we can't get him now, but let's see what he's like in 6 months, and then we bring him in rather than buying a forward now. And they really want Neto, because all the talk was at the time was Neto was really highly rated. So maybe that's what they're waiting to see how he recovers.
It could be, but I think if we're going for a forward, I want to see someone that goes down the middle. I like all this, we can play anywhere across the front, and I like that. But we have loads of players that can play all across the front. Just give me someone that plays down the middle. Just down the middle. Yeah. Bobby Firmino can only play down the middle for Liverpool, and I'm good with that. I want someone else like that to complement whatever else we have. Harvey Elliott, if he gets in the squad, can play off either side. He can play as a 10. Ox can play as a 10 or play either side for me. He can't play as a 9, in my opinion. Mane can play as a 10 and off the left or right. Salah can play off the left, right, or as a number 9 if you want. I think I'd love someone down the middle. So I'll jump in on Vlahovic if that's all right. Midfield wise, I've just seen a name come up there, and if this could be done, that's the player.
That's the player. You have no idea how horny I am.
Yeah, Goretzka has a year left.
That's why I'm doing bicep curls, just because of him.
We just saw Seany 6 weeks ago. He was a scrawny little fucker, but he's on the Goretzka diet now.
God, he was like, what's his name? Barney out of The Simpsons. He was fucking 6 weeks ago. Look at him now. But he has a year left on his deal, and the talk out of Bayern is that because he's given Seany this big deal, that all the players are rolling in now going, I want that as well. If you could turn around, Gravenberch is another name that's in there, and I think that's a very interesting one. If you could turn around, if you could turn around to Bayern or Goretzka and say, listen, we'll give you 25, 30 million now, and he's not going to sign for you. We'll give you 30 million now, and say to Goretzka, we'll give you 150 grand a week or whatever it might be, or whatever it is. Goretzka is the dream one for me. I think he has everything, and I mean everything.
We were mad for him before when we were trying to get him from Schalke, wasn't it?
But look, it's Goretzka, I think, is a bit of a dream. Basuma one doesn't really. I don't think it does happen for me. Neuhaus is decent, but it's more the forward for me. But I'll tell you what, if you give me Vlahovic and Goretzka, I'm good. I've no problem with Renato Sanchez, and I've no problem with Saul. No issues whatsoever either there. But
Vlahovic and John McGinn. Although he's not homegrown, so he's no use. He's not homegrown.
I love McGinn. I don't get the get the disdain towards John McGinn. I think he's a brilliant player. I think he's excellent. I think if his name was John McGinn, we'd be all mad for him.
And he'd fit into our team like a blatant glove.
Yeah, he's an excellent footballer. Like, he's not.
Let's see.
Some of the shit I've seen thrown his way. Yeah, like the lads are saying about Bellingham, like there's another one we missed about on. United was showing him around and tried to get him, like, you know what I mean?
Jono says United are offering 20 million a year for Goretzka, apparently.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, well, look, we'll have to wait and see. There's going to be loads of stuff going on with regards to transfers over the next 5 weeks, isn't it? But look,
5-year deal for Ole. Was it a 5-year deal, Ole?
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Nice. But we'll leave it there. Just to let you know, check the show description for the Sienna stuff. The tickets are selling well, but not well enough in their opinion. If you know anybody that runs a podcast or is in any way in the media or whatever way that you can help this out and take this on with us to promote it daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it might be, let them know. This isn't about us. It's not about the LFC Daytrippers. It's about getting as much word out there. So if, I don't know, who's that fella in America, Johnny, that does all the daily podcasts? Fella that interviews in the ring.
Joe Rogan.
If Joe Rogan wants to take this on and tell people to buy tickets, they absolutely can. And anybody like that is welcome too. But look, she's nearly halfway there in our money. So we want to, when we get over that halfway, we want to push it again. But the link is in the description. You can also go to the GoFundMe if you want to donate that way. And one ticket is €1 to sell at Anfield, 53,394 tickets. Coming up this week, the forum is tomorrow. The midweek fixes move to Tuesday. I haven't told Jamie that yet, but he probably won't. The transfer agenda show will be on Wednesday, because Liverpool play Thursday and we will have our pre-match and post-match. We had our first pre and post-match on Friday, and the lads done brilliantly for their first time on the channel. They were absolutely excellent. So more of that to come on Thursday. Friday we'll have a night off. Saturday we'll have a night off, and we'll be back here on Sunday. Hopefully Grizz has swam home by then. And
might be doing the transfer special from a dinghy.
Yeah. From a Ford floor
building.
Dusan
Vlahovic. SOS.
Yeah. SOS is he's sending out. He's doing his
Haaland is on his way to his medical voyage submarine.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Distress flares all over the place.
Banana boat. Right. That's it. I think that has been an hour and a half. We were meant to do all that, were we, lads?
We had a great time, didn't we?
We did have a great time. The comments were lethal tonight, weren't they?
Yeah, it was. It's what it's all about. Lethal. You know, it's what it's all about. We mightn't read them out all the time, but we do appreciate them all coming in. And
Red Steve says, go on, sorry.
No, I was just saying that we appreciate the comments and the people that are in there making the effort. So
absolutely, and they were absolutely brilliant tonight. And we tried to read out as many as we possibly could. Red Steve asked, new layout coming back up. The new layouts are coming back. We tested the midweek fix during the week and it went extremely well. One thing I will say to you is though, people are saying, I can't see it on the phone, and it's impossible to design a YouTube layout that suits people on a desktop, on an iPad, and on a phone, both looking at it the normal way and turned on its side. It's impossible. You can't we're making the graphics as big as we can so you can read them. So we can't do that and have a live chat down the side. It's just impossible. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to make us as small as we can on the screen to give the emphasis on the graphics. So if you can see the graphics, we're good. And if you turn your phone on the side and it still shows the live chat, great, but there's no way we can design it to make every way possible or every way the same. Who this AC Milan fella we've been
Frank Kessie.
Oh, Kessie, yeah. We'll get into that during the week.
That played
Red Steve.
Craig David's Peregrine Falcon, is it?
Impossible is nothing, Gav. I have faith in you. Well, Red Steve, it's designed, and there's nothing more we can do with it, I'm being honest with you. But over the next week or two, before the season starts, we will have a Fatback 4, we will have a forum, and we will have a Carnage with the new format. And going into the season, they will all have the new format. So we're just trying to pick the right dates to test them when lads are available and stuff like that. Seany, the minister for graphics and everything else, has said the midweek fix was fine. So hopefully we pass this test when it comes to the forum.
It was better than fine. It was
the Fatback 4 and the Carnage. So, and by the way, you did suggest changes to the midweek fix, like make them bleeding comments bigger. We've made the comments bigger. Okay, make those graphics bigger. We've made the graphics bigger. Seany said to me, get rid of them circles. And this is exactly what he said to me, right? Because the funniest thing I heard, he said, see that social media page? And I said, yeah. He said, can you change them circles to kind of long rectangles and put the lads in them? I went, yeah. And he goes, grand, because it looks like the four of them are looking out the window of SpongeBob's gaff. So that's why we've changed that, if anyone was wondering. All right. So that has been the Fatback 4. Thanks for joining us. The comments have been amazing. The amount of viewers watching has been amazing. Don't forget to support Sienna, and we'll talk to you during the week. Over and out.